Okay, so welcome to Conversation Corner. We're here with Jen Burns, Realtor extraordinaire, and what I like, I guess, what I want to talk to you about. Well, first of all, welcome.
Thank you.
Second, give me your history. I know your history, but tell me, sort of, we have a lot in common.
From the very beginning of real estate.
Tell me how it worked out. So you went to high school with my wife. You went to Ole Miss with my wife.
Yeah.
My wife did not play professional soccer.
Right.
You played professional soccer. How long did you play?
Just 1 year.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
I played soccer, got into coaching. I was the head coach at Louisiana Tech for a few years. Got married, wanting to start a family, college athletics and women head coaches having babies don't really go well together. So my husband and I both changed careers, and I really thought I was going to go into teaching, but when I started looking at pay and all of that, I was like, I really think it was a God thing getting into real estate for sure, because I got married. I knew my husband was an Eagle Scout, but I didn't know how handy he was, and so we bought this house and we started watching Flip That House, and I was like, we started fixing it up, and I was like, we could flip a house. And so when I quit, I was like, well, I'll just get into real estate. And I really got into I was sick of calling agents asking them about houses. I was like, I need access to this information. So I got my license to flip, and we started doing that. And so my first year really wasn't focused on building a real estate business.
Traditional real estate.
Right.
That most people think of. Yeah.
I had no idea how to get clients. I only made $7,000 my first year in real estate. And
so what flipped the switch?
I mean, it wasn't this is 12 years ago, so the industry has changed a lot. I can remember sitting at the office, Googling, how to get business and waiting for the duty phone to ring. I just really didn't know what I didn't know at that point. And so every year it kind of got a little bit better. I was in Ruston, which small town USA. It was
so you started up there?
Yeah.
Okay.
So everybody.
Who'd you work for up there?
Coldwell Banker.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. There was 10 agents in our office. And so I started up there and kind of built a decent business. And then 4 years after that, us got started, we got transferred back home, which worked out really good because my family's here, and we were, my husband's from Iowa, so we had no family in Ruston. So it was nice with a baby to be able to be close to family. And but that meant starting all over real estate wise. So I've been here 8 years.
So how'd you start over?
I switched from Coldwell Banker to Keller Williams.
Okay.
And that was a eye-opening. I went from really not knowing how to generate business to having tons of ways to teaching you tons of ways to generate business. But I didn't have a sphere. I didn't have a database. So I just started pounding the phones with expired leads for sale by owners, Craigslist. I was posting to Craigslist, just starting to get into internet leads. Yeah. And so really, that's how I built my business for probably 5 years. Wow. Was really pounding out. Every client was a new client. There was no past client or sphere, because I've been gone for almost 20 years. I didn't know anybody here anymore. So. Yeah, long story short.
So what would you sort of attribute that to? What do you what flipped the switch? Just I'm hungry?
Well, when I had left Ruston, I was probably making around $100,000 a year. And so when you're moving to a place where things are more expensive and I just didn't know how long it was going to take me to generate business, how long. And I'm competitive and driven. I want to be successful. I like to make money. And I like to build businesses. And so it was just what was I going to do? Sit at home and do nothing? I
don't know. So what advice would you give somebody that's either just getting started or looking to grow?
I would probably, just getting started, lead with revenue. Don't go out and buy a ton of crazy.
Lead with revenue. What does that mean?
Yeah, or just don't go and spend crazy money on Zillow or Realtor.com and all of this stuff. Like, make some money, put it in the bank, and then watch your budget grow to spend and more invest back into your business. Do the things that are free or very cost little money. If you're a new agent and you have a sphere and database, put that together. That's a huge resource. Do open houses, do Facebook ads. That's you can get some leads from that for low cost.
Very economical.
Yeah. Do the things. Call expireds, call for sale by owners, pop by their houses. Like, do the things that when you're a new agent, agents either have time or money.
Right.
So if you don't have any money to buy the leads, then you should have the time to like hustle for the business. If you are really busy working business and you don't have time to really hustle, then that's when you start investing in buying leads.
Purchasing leads.
Yeah, because I mean, you're gonna buy them or you're gonna spend your time doing it, which is essentially, what is your time worth? That's money in itself. So.
Yeah. Well, I think you're a very unique case study you started in a different market, you moved here, you basically built a real estate business twice from the ground up, and then you've gone from single agent to team, and then back down. So you've kind of checked an awful lot of boxes in the real estate world.
I can tell you what to do, what not to do.
Well, let's talk about it. All right, what to do. All right, well, let's flip it. What not to do. What are some of the big mistakes that you made that you look back on, the expensive learning lessons?
Oh, expensive learning lessons. Well, when I was in Ruston, I Googled about having a website, and I bought like a $2,000 website. Not because all the sites tout like agents who have a website make this much more or whatever, but they don't teach you like, okay, how to get people to your website and all of that. So that was an expensive lesson. Sure. I've hired ISA companies from out of state to help try to make appointments. People, it just doesn't work well for me. I mean, and that's the problem with real estate is like you see a lead generation tactic, and some people are like, oh, this works great, and then other people, this is terrible. Right. It depends on the market and how you work it. It's really up to you, I agree more than the platform itself. But in my experience with the people from out of state making, they're working on a quota. They're working on trying to get you X amount of appointments. So they're going to pressure that person to say yes, and you're going to go over there and they're going to be like, I really don't want to list my house, so it's kind of a waste of your time instead of really nurturing that relationship.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm curious about kind of the growth. When did you decide, all right, I'm in Baton Rouge, my business is big enough, now I want to grow? Take me through that process.
It really wasn't like a decision. Like it took me 6 months, even though I had built a business in Ruston. It took me about 6 months to really get going in Baton Rouge. Yeah. But it's kind of like you're pushing that ball, and it's very slow to get started. But then as it starts going, it just kind of gets easier. And so after 6 months, I started getting really busy, and I can remember working Saturdays and Sundays, 5-7 different clients, like being packed from 9 in the morning to 8 o'clock at night, just going from person to person to person, and then just thinking, okay, I need some help, And Keller Williams does a great job of they promote teams. They want you to grow and have teams, and they're very team oriented. So when they see you doing well, there's plenty of models for you to follow to grow a team.
Yeah.
And so, the first step is to hire an assistant, and I've done all of that wrong too. Like the first assistant I hired, I went in with another agent, and we kind of split a girl.
Right.
And, paid them like $10 an hour, and that didn't really work. And then
Why didn't it work?
it just
Was it the
split.
assistant or was it the sharing?
A little bit of both,
Yeah.
probably. It's scary.
Yeah.
It's scary hiring when you're a commission-only employee, and you're hiring someone where you're like, okay, I know my paycheck's going to feed your family and pay your mortgage and all of that. That's a very scary hire to make, and I see agents.
Well, not only that, but what you're paying them comes out of your pocket. So that's your profit that you're effectively paying them. So you have to look at it as an investment, as a profit. So yeah, I have those same thoughts.
Yeah. So I hired a girl that was supposed to be very good at SEO,
Right.
and I was like, well, those people are kind of harder to come by. She's probably not going to be great at the paperwork,
Right.
but I can train the paperwork either better than I could train that. And that lasted like 2 weeks. That was terrible. I've hired people that lived, like, I'm in Prairieville, and I hired a person that was across the river, which, it was just hard.
Right.
It was a great fit for a while, but, if you're not paying like really good money, that's a long drive,
Yeah,
and a commitment and gas and all of that. I did have an assistant for about 3.5 years, and it was someone I knew, and it was great and then it after the flood, it just didn't work
Right.
anymore. But in that one, I was paying a salary.
Yeah.
Probably because who it was and everything, but I was devastated when you have somebody that you depend on,
Right.
and you get out of the business, that's out of your business so far, it's hard to get that job back. And I was devastated on that. But again, I think God has put his hands on my business, and had another person who I have now waiting in the wings, and it really has just been a tremendous fit. And when it fits right for everybody,
Right.
it works really well.
So how did you work through some of that stuff? I mean, now I think you've pretty much hit on all of the reasons that people have trouble. It's you have agents that are looking to grow their business. They know they have to grow their business.
Yeah.
But they're staring, into this cavern, and they're going, all right, I'm scared about pay. I'm scared about, giving up what I know well to get somebody that
Right.
I can train the paperwork, but I want somebody with SEO. And then you look at, all right, well, what happens if they become so good that they leave and we have some issues? I mean, I kind of run into that with some of the folks that we have, and it's not a function of the person. It's just
It's small business,
our
right?
world. I operate on 2 years. For some reason, we have one position that it's a 2-year cycle, and right when I think I have the perfect person and they've been trained for everything, it's
go.
almost like the two. I mean, it's almost to the day. It's really weird where it's and maybe it's me. I don't know. Maybe you get sick of
Maybe
me
you're
after 2 years. I don't know.
putting that in the
But
universe.
we've sort of had to train. I've had to train my brain into the fact that this is going to be a 2-year position,
Yeah.
and it's hard. And especially for somebody that's never done it. So what advice would you give somebody other than just do it?
I would say that if you're busy, I always tell people your client experience is really, really important.
Right.
It doesn't really matter how well you stay in touch with people after if they didn't have a great experience while you're there. And if you're spread so thin that you're not providing a great experience for them while you're working with them, it's going to be very hard to put them in your database and hopefully get them as clients again and things like that. So when you're so busy that you can't return phone calls quickly, that we live in a right now society.
Right.
So like if you're not being able to keep up with things, and agents are having to ask you 10 times for paperwork, and you don't know where your closings are, or where you are in the process, you need help. You really do. And I would say that if you're nervous about hiring an assistant, go ahead and figure out what you're going to pay somebody, save 6 months of that in savings, and say, okay, I'm going to hire somebody and I'm going to give them 6 months. That way, after 2 months, if you're freaking out because your business you've had a dip or whatever, I mean, give yourself 6 months with someone. But that 6 month period, that free time that you get from leverage from them, is not for you to go eat bonbons in your house. Right. It's for you to go get more business and, leverage your time to do what you're really, really good at.
That's interesting. I like the savings. All right, it kind of it makes sense.
Right.
But at the same time, that's one of those words that people don't really look at all that often is savings and invest back in your business and different things like that. So I'm really glad that somebody else besides me is trying to promote
the
save and the invest and the different things like that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about building the team. All right. How big did your team get?
At one point, we had an assistant, a part-time marketing person. There was multiple times where I had like a buyer's agent. Right. At one point, I had a buyer's agent and a listing agent. And then about when it got to that point is when it all like just imploded. And
let's talk about the good. What was the good parts about having all those things?
I mean, I liked being part of a team.
Right.
Like I liked the camaraderie, just having people to work with, like trying to reach a goal, building a business to a higher level. Yeah. Like that was the good. The bad was having to find the right people, hire the people, train them, motivate them, lead them, the drama,
It's the biggest issue that I see with agents that are starting to grow their business through people is the HR part, the human relations part.
It's really hard.
I just want to sell. That's all I want to do.
Yeah, and I go back to the athletic part of my background is like great players don't always make a great coach. Just because you're great at selling houses and generating business doesn't mean that you are great at training, leading, motivating, and hiring a staff to go out. Plus, when you have that many agents and you start splitting the commission and the buyer's agents get 50%, if they're really not bringing in a ton of business, you find yourself as the team leader needing to go and buy more leads and to make sure that we can grow, so we can do more business, so that they can feed their families, but yet I can still make what I need to pay all the bills and still give out half of the commission. And I think like waiting so long to grow a team, it's kind of like trying to run a mile, right? Like if you've been sitting on your couch, the couch to 5K thing, if you've been sitting on your couch and you haven't ran a mile in a long time, it's hard to run a mile. Yeah. But if you consistently start doing it every day, you build up how far you can run without getting tired. Well, it's the same thing in real estate. Like you start out doing 1 to 2 transactions a month, and then you add 3, and then you get really busy and you jump up to 5. Well, there's been times where we've had 16, 17 in 1 month. So for me to drop down to 5 feels like, running a marathon or running a mile, like being trained for a marathon and running a mile. Yeah. It's easy. So when I grew the team, I knew that I could do $2 million a month by myself without needing help. But our team wasn't doing that much business. And so it was hard for me to sit and say, well, let me just give you this lead, knowing that I could handle it, and then the other part of it is the relationship business, like you're talking about the 2-year position in your business. Buyer's agents do not stay with teams typically for more than 2 years, and your typical homeowner moves every 5 to 7 years. So if I get a lead and I give them to you, and you go and pound the streets and help them and develop the relationship with them, in 5 to 7 years, when you're not on my team anymore, and they're going to go sell a house, are they going to call me or are they going to call you? They're going to call you.
And that's okay. That's what they're supposed to do.
That's what they're supposed to do, but that doesn't help me.
Yeah.
So I didn't like having to pay for these leads, and then I'm growing other people's databases because I was giving up the relationship part of the business.
Well, I appreciate your honesty. That's really interesting. I mean, I like, and what I think, what's that?
That's what you get with me.
That's why you're here. But that's the part that I like about it is when people, with you knew you wanted to grow your business, and you have tried every different way. And it's not that teams are bad. It's just at the time, teams weren't for you.
Yeah.
And
it didn't work.
Yeah. So let's talk about your business now.
So after the flood in 2016, I was probably like, our market shifted in one day, right? Half of our city flooded. Yeah. And that's scary. It's scary when all your listings are flooded or gone, or your pendings, your buyers were going to buy a house and it flooded. And so I took a look. My assistant quit right after the flood, and I had just had to let go of some of the other people. So I just kind of took an internal look back at myself and said, you know what? When were you the most happy?
Right.
And I was honestly the most unhealthy I had ever been.
Yeah.
I was on the road all this time, and I just looked up and I said, why am I chasing this 30 million, 40 million, 50 million and having all these expenses? Our market has shifted. We're on commission only. I do have savings, but at $15,000 a month in expenses, that's going to go really quick. So I just did a quick, trimmed all the fat, cut out everything that I could. And I cut out almost, looking back at it, about $100,000 out of my budget. And for me, that's about 20 to 25 deals. It's $4 million in production. So I could literally do $4 million less in production, and make the same amount of money.
Yeah. It's about profit.
It's about time and profit. And so I looked at myself and I said, okay, you're the most unhealthy you've ever been. You're by yourself again. I vividly remember getting a cup of coffee in my kitchen and saying, what do you want to make? What does your family need, or what would be a good goal for you to make? And $400,000 came to my mind. And I said, that's 16 million. That's 1.3 million a month. I can easily handle 1.3 million in production a month. And I would have time back. Yeah. And I don't have all the expenses. And I keep my relationships. And so that's what I did. I started going back to the gym and training for a triathlon, and I started I cut out everything except for my Sphere and Zillow. Right. Are the two things that I kept. And I had to change my mindset of, because you and I are both a lot alike, and we go to conferences and we see the bright, shiny object, and we're like, oh, I need to do that. That's awesome. And I trained my brain to say, telemarketers calling, nope, I don't need that, I don't need that. I just kept it to two things. And 2017 was tough. I mean, I think I did 13 million that year. Yeah. But we were still recovering from the flood. Last year, did 19 million. Yeah. And we're on track to do 16 again this year. So I'm keeping all of this database, people in my database, and that's really important to me.
So let's talk about that. How do you work that?
Well, I do a lot because the way that I look at it is, these people already know, love, and trust me, and hopefully they will refer me to their friends and family. So right now I have about 400 people in that database.
Okay.
And it's very hard to stay in relationship with 400
Sure.
people. So I have a private Facebook group that I put people in.
What do you post in there?
All kind of stuff, like just different contests, like who do you think is going to win the Super Bowl, or you boycotting, because the Saints this year,
right.
like who do you think is going to win, or are you boycotting, or if you guess the score, you get a $50 gift card to walk-ons, or today was National Donut Day, so we delivered donuts to 5 clients at work for National Donut Day. I sit down at the end of the year and make a calendar for the whole year of what I'm planning to do.
There it is.
And market the whole thing. And we do giveaways. So my clients, one of the issues that I had was I'm a giver and I like to give things. And so on Facebook, I would say, okay, my first 20 clients that say yes, I'll drop off this. Well, then I had all these random people saying yes, and I'm like, you're not one of my clients. You don't pay attention.
Right.
You don't follow directions. And the last thing, when I first started, I would do everything for everybody in my database because it was so small. But then as it got bigger, budget-wise, I couldn't do everything for everybody. And the last thing I wanted to do is to give you something. You post it on Facebook, another client see it and be like, well, they must not mean as much as Brent because they got that, and you know how people are that way.
Oh, there's no doubt about that.
So the way we came around that is we created a private Facebook group, and my clients know I do contests or giveaways. So we do a teaser. We're like, okay, our next giveaway is coming up tomorrow. So when Jen Burns pops up on your thing, you need to check because it's a time thing, right? It's the first 20 people, so everybody has a chance. Are you the first 20 people? So we'll say the first 20 people get this or that, and then when we get to 20, that's it, and then we go deliver those. And
that's great. What are some of the 20s? I mean, you can't do $50 gift cards.
No. Well, I try to do things that local people would like. So, like in August, we do clear game day bags for the football stadiums.
Yeah, smart.
You need a clear bag to go into LSU or the Saints or anywhere, the Southern or anything. So that's something of item of value that I can buy at wholesale prices and personalize a little bit. And we put a beer and some chips, and we just say, getting you ready for football season, and they love it. We've done that for 2 years. We've done crawfish trays. We've
Let's talk about that. You're probably one of the most creative with these get-togethers, and I have the luxury of walking in your office and seeing LED Easter eggs and straws, and now there's 8,000 bottled Coca-Colas in there. So let's talk a little bit about kind of the creativity behind that, and then kind of how you expanded that into a business. I mean, side hustle, if you will. So let's talk about
one of my side hustles. Well, my thing is I'm always trying to add something of value.
Right.
Not like something I just get off a promotional website, And if I'm going to give 20 of them away, they've got to be reasonably priced.
Right.
Because it's just a budget thing, right? So that it's a balance of what is something someone would need or want.
Sure.
And also cheap enough that I can buy 20 of them.
Right.
So like one year we did crawfish trays, and they're $1.99 at Academy. So it's a $4 gift, and we ordered stickers. We put a sticker on them and wrapped them in a cellophane bag and made them. Jenny and Kelly make them look amazing, much better than I could ever do.
They look awesome.
But so many people need crawfish trays, and they have a crawfish boil or a crab boil or some shrimp or something, and they have people over, and they come out, and And I also tell people, I looking back at the gifts I give, a lot of them are bags, like,
Right.
because I need to put it in something anyway.
Yeah,
but
sure.
it's a lot of them. So we did an after boil, like that was 2 years ago. We did the crawfish tray. So we did an after boil kit this year with a stainless steel soap bar with my name on it,
Yeah.
and a bag that we put "'Tis the Season," which was
I like that
crawfish, and you know, we put some handmade soap scrub and stuff in there so that after you eat crawfish, you're ready to like clean up. But I was telling somebody the other day, I said, you know, people tend to do life with the same group of people.
Yeah.
So if you're going to a football game at LSU and you have your clear game day bag with your initials on it, oh, where'd you get that? Oh, my realtor gave it to you. And then you hit crawfish season, and here you bring out your crawfish trays, and your realtor had, oh, well, your realtor gave you these too.
Right.
And you go to the parade and you have a bead bag that has your realtor's name on
Right.
it or whatever, and it's like, you know, you're going to a crawfish boil and you have a bag that you're bringing your stuff in, and
Yeah.
and I don't tend to put my logo on much of that because I want people to use it.
Yeah.
I don't want it to be all about me. I want me to come up in conversation, just like the 4th of July stuff that we're doing. We're not putting our logo on any of that. We are putting a recipe for patriotic dish in there.
Right.
And my hope is that they bring that to a picnic, and somebody says, "Oh, where'd you get this recipe?" Or "This was cute."
Yeah.
"Oh, my realtor gave it to me," and it comes up in conversation. And as you're doing life with these people and your friends that you hang out with all the time, you're going to be like, you need to call
Yeah, that's
their
right.
realtor. You can see that it's more than just the transaction, I guess.
That's
so
awesome.
That's
So what you've done is you've created basically these pop buys that other people can get, right?
yeah. So I've been training agents and trying to help them work their database and grow their database, and you know, all of them like the idea, but they either don't have the creativity to come up with something, or they're really busy and they don't have the time. So
That's me.
what we
Just give it to me and let me do it. Let's
yeah.
Go.
So what we decided is, okay, well, we're going to be making 20 of these anyway for me. So let's make 200 of them. And then we have an email list of agents that, okay, this is what we're doing. Brent, do you like them?
Yeah.
Okay, you can order 20 of them. You pay us. Pickups on this day. And you can pick them up and go drop them off.
Done, yeah.
And we even actually now are testing out a runner. So like you could actually say, Jen, I want 20 of them. Here's the 20 addresses.
Right.
Our runner will
Ooh,
go and drop
I
them
like
off
that.
for you.
Yeah.
So, and my thought is, I mean, even if you do 10 a month,
Yeah.
that's manageable, right? 10 a month. Our average that we sell them are $12 to $15. So
Yeah.
it's like $120 to $150. Oh, if you can consistently do that over 12 months, you're reaching 120 of your past clients with
Not just reaching, but cutting through the
connecting.
noise.
Yeah, connecting. And the thing is people are so like, everything's so automated, and that like, it's not real hard to make them be like, wow, like, oh, that was above and beyond, because everybody's just trained to expect the minimal
Oh, yeah.
amount, you know? So when they come home that day and they see that on their porch or something, they get excited.
Right. It's
Yeah.
something that's, I mean, even like that, it's not an Amazon box. You know, it's
Right.
something that's a little bit different that somebody took
put
the
some-
time to think about and put some thought into. And then
Yeah.
not only that, but actually drove there and delivered it. So I
Yeah.
think that's really kind of a neat thing. You know, it's one of those deals. I guess the hard part with a lot of that stuff and what you've really got to is everybody thinks it's a good idea, but nobody does it.
That's right.
What I like is you do it. Like you actually say, all right, this, and not only that, you have some people, like you have all these people that think it's a great idea. Very few people are going to do it. And then of the people that do it, very few people are going to be doing it 3 months from now, 6 months from now, 12 months from now. But,
Yeah.
you know, I appreciate the long game that you play, you know, and you're like, all right, well, if we do this long enough, then
Yeah.
then
Well,
it's going to come back around.
Life happens, and your database is not, just because they worked with you once doesn't mean that they're going to work with you again. And
Studies say that they don't.
yeah, and even if you did a great job, even if you have a great relationship with them,
the numbers are something like 88% of buyers are satisfied or extremely satisfied, and 12% use that agent again. So it's not like, oh, these are made up. No, these are the actual statistical data. So
yeah, and so what I am trying to do with a large amount of people is, if you chase your kids around,
Yeah.
right? So if my kid joins the soccer team and her best friend on the soccer team, I meet their parents, and their mom is a realtor. And it's been about 4 or 5 years, and I'm thinking about selling my house soon. If I haven't wowed my client enough over that last
Right.
4 or 5 years, where my client says, I know you're a realtor, but I got a realtor.
I got mine.
I got mine. I love you to death, but I got my realtor.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you haven't stayed in touch and you haven't wowed them, you can guarantee you're going to lose that and not on I mean, it's not that they didn't have a good experience with you, but their kid's friend is now friends with them or
Right.
whatever. So
We go through different life stages.
Yeah, it's a different life stage, and so it's just trying to. So my goal is to build my database up to 1,000 people,
Yeah.
and then just love on those 1,000 people. And if I get a 10% return of people buying and selling or referrals,
Right.
that's about 100 deals a year. And it's a very profitable business
Yeah.
because I'm not splitting. I know I can do 100 deals by myself, and I know I'm not paying Zillow or Realtor.com or paying, and I'm not.
Well, you're taking that money, investing in your people.
I'm investing in my people, and I'd much rather invest it into my people than somebody else's pocket.
I love it. I think it's great.
Thanks.
I mean, it's the consistent thing. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and that's one of the things that she was saying is I don't know how we got on this conversation, but she said realtors are famous for, hey, I need business, and then you go advertise and you do this, and then you get the business. You go, well, I'm making a lot of business, so I'm going to stop all the things that got me the business, and then you go down, and then you go, oh, wait a second, so it's constantly this push and pull, and I like the fact that you take a very consistent approach, and you're like, okay, well, it's an investment. I mean, that's essentially what it is, and you're making a monthly investment, $10 to $15 at a time in these individuals, and you're not going to hit a home run every time, but you don't need to. You just want to hit 10%.
Right. And I'm just never gonna pound the phone from 9 to 11 and call all my people and ask them if they know if they're gonna anybody who wants to buy, sell, or invest in real estate. They're all at work. And if that's the only time I call them and that's the only question I ask them, they're not going to answer my call anymore. I'd much rather call you and say, hey, I'm having a king cake tasting party where you can taste like 10 different kinds of king cake. You want to come? Yeah. I'd much rather that, and then sit down with them and let them enjoy that, and just catch up on life. Like
So let's talk about the planning aspect of this. I mean, all of this, to some folks, is going to sound exhausting. She does all of this? Holy smokes. How do you come up with these? Do you do like a monthly thing, or you said you schedule it annually, or?
A monthly thing for what?
For how do you get all these ideas? Like what? Let's talk about from when we think about them to when we execute them.
Well, this is the first year that we've kind of planned out for a whole year.
Okay.
So we sat down in November, December, looked at a calendar, and because what would happen before is I would wake up today and it would be National Donut Day, and I would have had a really good idea to drop some donuts off, but I would have been too late because
that's everybody.
I would have been too late. But last year I sat down and I looked at Google. I Googled like, what are national days? You know, like chocolate chip cookie day or margarita day or popcorn day or whatever. So we planned it. So I knew this was on the calendar.
Right.
And so we were able to post earlier in the week, hey, Friday is National Donut Day. who wants donuts delivered to their office? First 5 people that say yes, get them. And so, the plan, getting a plan.
Right.
You may not have to do annual, but at least maybe quarterly.
Quarterly.
Sit down and do it quarterly. And as hard as it is for me to sit still, having that done for a whole year and not worrying every day or every week of what we're going to post or what we're going to do.
It's liberating.
It is.
It's liberating.
And, so it's, and it also helps me with my budget, right? Because I know what I'm planning to give out. And so, okay, I'm going to do a gift card here, an event here. This event should cost me this.
Yeah.
And look, it changes. I mean, it is a something we go off of, but like we're adding things constantly because my brain never stops.
Yeah.
And now I'm helping other people, so I kind of want to do something a little bit different. So if I, things always hit me, and sometimes if I can fit it in, I'll try to fit it in. If not, I'll just wait till next year and put it on the next year calendar, whatever.
Well, let's wrap up by this. Just you said something again that kind of cracks me up. You and I do this all the time, where we just have these ideas and then we just kind of drop them on people's desks and then just move on to the next idea. And trying to, we're out. So you do have some really good people at home base, and I have some really good people at home base that kind of grease the wheels to this whole thing. And not only people, but you have certain systems that are in place. So how have you been able to continue to do what you do? I mean, that's what it's all about. You do what you're good at, and you either allow people or processes to do the things that either you can't do, don't have the time to do, don't want to do. So how were you able to set some of those up?
Well, I have 2 staff members, Jenny and Kelly, and they're sisters. And they both have their roles. Like Kelly does like transactions and just compliance and EXP stuff. And then Jenny does more the Facebook, the marketing, the flyers, the books, the client database, the monitoring, all of that. So we've been together almost 3 years now. And I think what I did was I found somebody that was better than me at the paperwork side. And she is so, like, I've never heard the word efficient so much. Like, that's really important to her. And so she listened to me and what all needed to be done and all these extras I wanted to do. And we came up with these systems. Like, we have great systems that allow us to do all this extra stuff because it's part of our system. And so those 2, the systems that we have in place are huge. And if there's a new idea, it just gets put into the system, and then it's part of that checklist. So then it gets implemented, and she's like, I need this or that or whatever it is. Agents have a hard time building those systems, and I think that's what has allowed us to do so much with so little staff and well,
you've cut out the middleman. So you just, I guess my question is, did you build those kind of through trial and error, and then again it's just more or less of a consistency piece?
Yeah, we Kelly kind of built, like, I would tell her, okay, I taught her the business, and these are all the things that have to happen, and then I pretty much took my hands off of it and said, you do it as long as it gets done. That's all I care about. You create the system that works most for you, because she has a limited amount of time, right? So she works 9 to 2 Monday through Thursday. So she knows she's got to be efficient to get all of this done in the time that she has allotted for working for me. And so we're constantly like I told her this morning, one of our emails that goes out is an email to our clients saying, the title company is going to call you. It's okay to give them your information, because those are calls and emails that I get. So sending that email out is really important, because that's one less call or email that I get that I have to respond to. And today, we have a new client, and the email hadn't gone out yet. The title company kind of jumped the gun on us,
Yeah.
and I woke up this morning with the email, is it safe to give this person my data? And so I told her, I was like, this guy asked me today, and she's like, oh, the email didn't go out yet. But it confirmed to her that these aren't worthless emails
Right.
that we're sending. They help.
Legitimate, yeah.
And our systems are so good that I don't get those phone calls, which allows me to focus
Right.
on the people that I'm working with. And we can help people. We have packages that people, if they need help with systems or anything like that, we can.
If agents need help with systems?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so if they want to contact us, we have some things that we can help them with that. I'm trying to be like the super solo agent, like here's the problem areas that I know you're going to have.
Right.
And we're going to have a business that helps you
Just
get
eases the
through those
burden.
problems.
Yeah.
So that you can just go sell real estate and you don't have to have a big staff.
Right.
And your profit and loss statement is going to look a lot better than some of these big teams that are touting really big numbers,
Right.
but have huge budgets, and they're.
Yeah, you did that with, or did you do that with the assistant thing too? I mean, y'all are just kind of saying, all right, well.
Yeah, so we have our systems that if you don't have an assistant or you have an assistant already, that we can like set up for you.
Yeah.
Or in April, we're actually going to be rolling out a new assistant program where agents can just.
April.
August.
Let's say.
Sorry, August. In August, where people can hire us to be their assistant, to where it takes the burden off of an agent who's trying to work on commission
Right.
to have to go find the right person, train them. Like, you will get all of our systems.
What solves the 2-year problem that I have,
It
right?
solves
Yeah.
it, because if the person quits, it's my problem,
Yeah.
not your problem. I've got to go find somebody else and train them.
Interesting. I love it.
So,
I think it's great.
thanks for having me.
This was fun.
Yeah, it was.
It's been a while. I'm glad that I finally got you in here. So,
Yeah.
anything else you want to say?
No?
Oh, well, look, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
This was tons of fun. And if you need help, call Jen. She's got the answers. That's for sure.
Thanks.
Have a good day.
All right, you too.